the last point I want to make before I call on Denver to answer all these questions is around children and tax-free investments. One of the things that I hear quite often from financial advisors sometimes as well is that, oh, tax-free investments aren't really that useful because you can only put away 36,000 Rand a year or 3,000 Rand a month. Now, I don't know about you, but I still think 3,000 Rand a month is quite a lot of money. But you can open tax-free investment accounts in your children's name. The day your child is born, an ID number is generated. The minute that child has an ID number, you can invest in their name. So between yourself, your spouse, and 2 children, in this example, you can put 144,000 Rand away a year into tax-free investments. And I want to share with you a little story about my son. He's now 20. Can you believe it? I can't. He was 2 years old when exchange traded funds came onto the market, and I thought, oh, you know what? I'm going to start investing some money into this for him because they had really low minimums. And I started putting away 200 Rand a month for him. Somewhere along the line, the minimum went to 300 Rand, and I think I eventually did put it up a little bit more to 500. But I can tell you, I never invested significant amounts of money. Probably on average, maybe 300 Rand a month. It probably worked out on average. By the time he was 18, it was worth 160,000 Rand. 160,000 Rand. Do you know what the investment was? It was something that tracked the top 40 JSE. Okay, it was nothing fancy. It wasn't actively managed. It was nothing. It was that simple. And that was just the power of putting money away every single month. The problem is, it's not in a tax-free savings account because they didn't exist then. So of that, a significant amount is capital gains. And he's now once he turned 18, he was no longer a minor, and he actually could be liable for the tax on that. So for me, it's really, really important. And of course, don't worry, the minute tax-free investments became available, I switched the monthly debit order into one of those. But this is a really, really powerful way to start investing for your children and to give them an incredible legacy. I know NetGroup has actually done some maths on that, and the figures were astounding. I mean, if you start putting money away for your child from the time they're born, by the time they retire, of course, if they haven't touched it by then, they will never have to put a cent away from retirement and will be able to live very happily off the money. We are running out of time. We've got a lot of questions, but I do see I had a lot of questions about children using tax-free investments for kids. Now, I did talk about it already, but I've seen this debate before. If you open one in your child's name, are you not using up their lifetime limits? I don't really always understand that argument, because for me, the fact that you can start so early and give them this incredible compounding, why would that be bad? You know what I mean? Because I've opened them for my children, and I hope at some point they'll take it over. Do you have any opinions on that?
Yeah, I do. So this is an interesting debate because there's lots of different thoughts when it comes to tax-free investments and minor children. I can tell you that I'll start off by saying I've got a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old that I've locked up in the other room, and I do have tax-free investments for them. So I'll give you the pros and the cons. So effectively, the massive we'll start off with the fact that every natural person can invest in a tax-free investment, like you said earlier. So yes, I can have as many tax-free investments in my own name, okay, but I can only put in 36,000 Rand a year and 500,000 Rand over my lifetime. I can't do more than that, okay? If I also, if I looked at my spouse and I said, I wanted her to have a tax-free investment, that's another 36,000 Rand that the family can get in. So she would contribute 36,000 Rand. And then my 2 minor children, you'd also be able to get 36,000 Rand for the 2 of them as well. Okay. Now, the massive benefit for the minor child is that you start really early. And as you said, it builds up. Okay. It builds up and you contribute for them. And if they are able to remain invested for 20 years, so when they get to majority, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, and if they can keep it up until retirement, then what you've gone and done is you've got 500,000 Rand in, but it's built up, and all of it is tax-free. So that's a massive advantage, and different people have different ways of using it. They see it as an opportunity for kids when they get to perhaps university, to use some of it for startup costs, or when they get to start working, actually use it for car or house or whatever it might be. So there's lots of benefits in investing for your minor children. The other side of the coin is that SARS requires, firstly, that you cannot pay tax-free investment out to a third party. So if I had a tax-free investment, I could not cede it to you. I could not say, listen, please pay it out to Maya. Okay, it has to pay out to me. So if you invest for a minor child, it is in the minor child's name. And when it comes to redeeming it, it must be paid out to the minor child. Okay, and when the minor child gets to age majority, age 18, okay, they can technically do it as they please with the tax-free investment. So there is that risk that if they decide, if you've managed to get the 500 in, and you've done really well to do that for your kids, if you got 500,000 in, and then they decide, and it's grown to whatever it might be, 5 million, 2 million, whatever it might be, and they decide to cash in, they're never going to get that opportunity to get 500,000 in again because that lifetime cap has been used. So I guess to answer that question, you've got to. It's a bit of a leap of faith. You've got to sort of trust the fact that when your kids get to 18, that they're going to be wise enough to not cash all of it out.